If the week has been full, let the waves take what you no longer need. Tonight, the sea remembers how to hold you. Come in. Settle by the shore. There is nothing here for you to do. Nothing to fix, and nothing to strive for. You are invited to simply be. To let the rhythm of the water become your own. This is a psalm by the sea, a place of surrender, a place where you are held. Let the sounds of the ocean begin to wash away the noise of the day. The static of the week. The burden of tomorrow. You are safe here. The tide knows your name. The moon keeps watch, and the sand receives every heavy step you've carried to this moment. It is safe to rest now. Let's begin by finding the breath of the ocean. Take a slow, deep breath in as the tide quietly rises. And as you exhale, let out a long, soft sigh as the wave recedes, taking the day with it. Let's find a rhythm together. A breath that signals to your body that it is safe to rest. Inhale softly for a count of 4, breathing in peace. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath gently for a moment. A pause of perfect stillness. Hold. 2. And exhale slowly for a count of 6, letting every muscle unshoulder its burden. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do that once more. Breathing in, filling with the clean, salt air. 2, 3, 4. Holding in the stillness, hold. 2. And breathing out, releasing, softening, letting go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, just let your breath find its own easy, natural rhythm. In and out, like the slow, ancient pulse of the sea. peace flows through me. Feel the surface beneath you, holding you completely. Allow your body to feel heavy and safe. Let your awareness settle on your feet. Feel both feet resting. Notice the weight of your heels. The curve of your arches. The small bones in your toes. Let them all soften. Allow your ankles to release. Feel that softness travel up into your calves. Notice the back of your legs, letting go. Your knees softening. No longer needing to hold you upright. Feel the weight of your thighs. Heavy, supported. Your hips sinking deeper. Your lower back releasing into the surface beneath you. You are completely held. Bring your awareness to your hands. Notice your fingertips first. Let each finger uncurl. Your palms soften. Feel that release travel into your wrists, your forearms, your elbows, soft. Your upper arms, heavy. Let your shoulders melt down, away from your ears. Feel them dropping, releasing all the weight they've been holding. All the responsibility, all the tension, let it all go. Soften the muscles in your neck. Feel your head, heavy, held. Soften your throat, your jaw. Let it hang loose, your tongue resting softly in your mouth. The small muscles around your eyes releasing. Your forehead smooth. Your scalp soft. Your body is at ease. Your heart is steady. There is nothing you need to do. You are held and safe. It is safe to rest now. Let us set a quiet intention for this night. A gentle prayer of release. Spirit of peace, Spirit of the deep, we ask you to loosen the weight that clings. We arrive here with the dust of the week on our hearts, with worries held in our shoulders, and with memories that loop and loop in our minds. We ask for release. We ask for the grace of the tide. May this water wash both memory and fear, leaving only rest. May this sound be a cleansing. May every wave that we hear pull away one small piece of what is no longer ours to carry. And may we find in this stillness the permission to be held, to be forgiven, and to be whole. We release the need to be perfect. We release the fear of not being enough. We release the burden of holding everything all at once. We surrender to the rhythm that is older than our worry, to the presence that is deeper than our fear. We give ourselves to this moment, to this breath, to this mercy. May the ocean remember what we have forgotten, that we are worthy of rest, that we are allowed to stop, that we are loved, even while unfinished. Amen. Dusk draped itself across the horizon. It was not a sudden closing of a door, but a slow, gentle fading, a dimming of the light, as if the sky were slowly letting out a long-held breath. The sky and sea met like two halves of a prayer. The air was still, holding the last warmth of the departed sun. The sand, higher up on the beach, was still soft and warm to the touch. But closer to the water, it was cool, dark, and smooth, like packed velvet. The tide was going out, slowly, reluctantly, leaving behind a wet, shining mirror of sand, marked with the delicate lace of foam and the small, perfect shells that the sea had offered and then forgotten. Alara arrived on the shore. She walked slowly, her steps heavy. She carried with her a thick, woven blanket and the invisible weight of a week that had been too full. Full of striving, full of lists, full of noise, full of words said, and words she wished she had said, and words she wished she had never heard. Her mind felt like a ledger book, cluttered with calculations and debts, both emotional and practical. She had spent the day and the week and perhaps the month performing, holding space for others, answering questions, solving problems, tending to the needs of everyone else, until her own inner well felt dangerously low. This walk to the sea was a ritual, a last, desperate act of self-preservation. She needed the ocean. She needed its vast, unthinking rhythm. She needed its permission to stop. She found her place on the shore, far from anyone else. There was no one here, only the gulls, crying their last goodbyes to the light, and the steady, hushing sound of the waves. The sound was not a crash. It was a shh, a long, slow, unfolding release, a great sigh from the deep. Alara spread her blanket on the cool, damp sand, just beyond the reach of the highest tide line. She sat and for a long time did nothing. She did not check her phone. She did not open a book. She simply sat and let the great blue quiet of the world settle over her. She pulled her knees to her chest, wrapping her arms around them, as if to hold herself together. She watched the light change. The deep, fiery orange in the west had softened, melting into a soft rose gold, and then into a pale, dusty lilac. Directly overhead, the sky was a deep, impossible blue. A blue so pure, it felt like you could fall upward into it. Forever. And in that blue, the first star appeared. A single, silver-white spark. It did not pulse. It did not demand attention. It simply held its place. Alara let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. It came out as a small, shaky sigh. The tension in her shoulders began to unlock. Just 1%. The tight band around her chest loosened. She was still. She was present. She was here. The moon, a perfect, polished sliver, began to rise, casting a faint, silvery light on the crests of the water. The sea was dark, like deep indigo ink, but it was alive. It was breathing. In and out, in and out. Even the waves keep time with grace. Alara felt the striving in her mind begin to slow. The lists, the worries, the replays of conversations, they were still there, but they felt further away. The sound of the ocean was bigger than the sound of her thoughts. It was older. It was wiser. It asked nothing of her. It did not ask her to be productive. It did not ask her to be happy. It did not ask her to be fixed. It simply offered its own steady presence, its own deep, unwavering rhythm. She felt the profound loneliness of her day, the feeling of being the only one holding the world up begin to soften. She was not alone. She was sitting at the edge of the great, wide, living world. A world that was being held by a presence far greater than her own. A divine presence. A quiet hope. She uncurled her arms from her knees and let her hands rest on the sand. She felt the tiny, cool grains, the dampness. She felt the earth beneath her, solid, real. She closed her eyes and just listened. The sound of the wave as it pulled back, a gentle rattle of shells and sea glass. Shh. And the sound of the wave as it returned, a soft, unfolding hush. Fush. The space between the waves was pure, holy silence. The world was breathing, and she was breathing with it. She had arrived. She had finally, truly stopped. The striving was over. The evening on the shore had begun. And as she sat there, wrapped in the stillness, she began to notice the smaller sounds, the quieter gifts of this place. The cry of a single gull somewhere far off, a lonely, haunting sound, but not sad. It was a sound of belonging. The gull knew this place. This was its home. The soft rustle of the seagrass growing in the dunes behind her. A whisper, a secret, a reminder that life continues, even in the quietest places. The gentle lap of the water against the shore. Not a wave, but a tender, continuous kissing of the earth. The sea meeting the land. over and over in an ancient, patient courtship. Elara opened her eyes and looked out at the horizon. The line where the sky met the sea was barely visible now. Both had turned the same deep twilight blue. It was as if the boundaries had dissolved. There was no separation between above and below, between heaven and earth. It was all one vast, breathing whole. And she, sitting here on this small stretch of sand, was part of it. She was not separate. She was woven in, held within this great living tapestry. She felt her heartbeat slow, matching the rhythm of the waves. She felt her breath deepen, synchronizing with the tide. She was no longer fighting. She was no longer resisting. She was surrendering to the pull of this place, to the invitation of rest. The moon, climbing higher now, cast a brighter light. A path of silver stretched across the water. From the horizon all the way to her feet. It looked like a road, a passage, a way home. Elara felt tears prick the corners of her eyes. But they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of relief, of release, of coming home to herself after a long, exhausting journey. She let them fall quietly, and the ocean, in its infinite patience, did not ask why. It simply continued its rhythm, continued its song, continued to hold space for whatever she needed to feel in this moment. The air grew cooler. A gentle breeze lifted off the water, carrying with it the scent of salt and seaweed and something else, something clean and ancient and holy. She wrapped the blanket tighter around her shoulders and felt protected. She felt seen. She felt known. And in that knowing, she felt safe enough to begin to let go. After a long time, elle a resté. The air had grown cooler. The silver light of the moon felt stronger now, more confident. She felt the pull of the water, a gentle, insistent invitation. Come. She left her blanket on the sand. She walked toward the shoreline. The damp sand was cold, firm beneath her bare feet. She stood at the quiet line where the sea had left its mark. A lacy, intricate pattern of foam. She waited. A wave rolled in, slow, gentle, and washed over her ankles. The water was cold, a soft shock. Then a deep electric cleansing. She gasped. Just a little. It was the first thing she had truly felt all day. A sensation not born of thought or worry or planning. It was just cold and real. The wave pulled back, and it felt as if the sea were tugging gently at the soles of her feet, pulling tension, exhaustion, static right out of her. She stepped forward into the shallow foam. She looked down at the dark, swirling water and remembered a childhood ritual of release. She bent down, searching the sand, fingers combing through the wet, gritty surface until she found a small stone. It was dark, smooth, worn by the patience of the sea. It fit perfectly in her palm. She held it, and it felt heavy. Heavy with more than its own weight. She closed her fist around it. She thought of one regret from the week. A moment of impatience. A sharp word spoken too quickly. She poured that memory into the stone. The heat in her chest. The tightness in her throat. The stone grew heavier in her hand. Then she looked at the sea. As the next wave pulled back, she tossed the stone. Not hard, just a gentle release. It vanished without a sound. The wave rolled in. Fuss. And it was gone. The sea had taken it. It had not asked why. It had not judged. It had simply received it. Ilara felt her throat loosen. She breathed deeply. She bent down once more. This time, she found a broken piece of shell. White. Jagged on one side. She held it. She remembered a harsh word spoken to her. A moment that made her feel small, unseen. She held the sharp edge of the shell and poured that hurt into it. This is not mine to carry. She tossed the shell into the sea. The water folded over it, and it was gone. The sea whispered, "Begin again." She continued, "You, too, can do this. Let every wave be a cleansing. Let it carry the memories, the hurts, the striving away from you. You don't have to name them. Just let the water take them." She found a tangle of seaweed. Dark, slippery, clinging to driftwood. She peeled it away, holding the cold, wet mass in her hands. She poured into it the complexity, the too much, the endless tasks, the drowning feeling of responsibility. She gave it to the sea. The sea did not find it complex. The sea was vast. It took it, and it was gone. I am forgiven. She found a piece of soft gray driftwood. Smooth, heavy, waterlogged. She held it. She thought of an old story she'd carried for years. An old guilt. A what if? An if only. She held the heavy log of that story. and she thanked it. Thanked it for what it taught her, for the compassion it grew in her, for the humility it gave. Then she whispered, "It is time to let you go." She tossed the wood into the waves. It bobbed on the surface, small, fragile, drifting further out until it vanished into the dark. With every release, Alara felt lighter. Her armor dissolved. The ledger in her mind washed clean. Each wave folded the day back into the deep, whispering, "Begin again. I am forgiven. Peace flows through me." She stood in the shallow water, the cold foam washing over her feet. And she felt empty. But it was not a lonely emptiness. It was a clean emptiness. A spacious emptiness. A stillness. She was no longer striving. She was no longer holding. She was simply standing. Held by the sand, cleansed by the water, and witnessed by the moon. But there was more. She felt it. There was one more thing, one more weight that needed to be released. She bent down one last time, and this time she scooped up a handful of wet sand. She held it, feeling the grains slip between her fingers, and she thought of herself, of the way she had judged herself this week, the way she had called herself not enough, the way she had looked in the mirror with criticism instead of kindness, the way she had dismissed her own exhaustion, her own needs, her own quiet voice, saying, "I'm tired." She held the sand and she poured into it all of that, all the self-judgment, all the harshness, all the ways she had abandoned herself in order to show up for everyone else. And then she opened her hand and let the sand fall back into the sea. The water rushed in and took it all, washing it away, dissolving it, returning it to the great, forgiving deep. She whispered to the ocean, to herself, to God, "I forgive me." The wave responded with its eternal, unwavering answer. Shh. You are forgiven. You are held. You are enough. The tide had done its sacred work. The forgiveness was given. It was safe to rest now. Alara stood there for a long time, just feeling the water around her ankles, feeling the cold, feeling the pull, feeling the cleansing. She felt the sand beneath her feet, shifting, settling, holding her. She felt the night air on her face, cool, fresh, alive. She felt the weight of the week washing away with each retreating wave. She felt her body softening, opening, breathing. She looked up at the stars. They had multiplied. The whole sky was now dusted with them. 1,000 points of light. A universe of witness. She was not alone. She had never been alone. The ocean had held this ritual for thousands of years. Thousands of weary souls had stood at this edge and let the water take what they could no longer carry. And the water had never refused. It had never turned away. It had simply received and released. Received and released. In an endless, patient mercy. Alara felt herself become part of that long lineage, part of that ancient prayer. She was one voice in a great chorus of those who had come to the water, seeking rest. And the water, in its wisdom, offered the same gift it had always offered: release, renewal, rest. She walked slowly out of the water. Her feet were numb with cold, but her heart felt warm. She felt clean. She felt light. She felt free. The tide was turning now, beginning its slow journey back toward the shore, back toward fullness. And she was turning too, turning back toward herself, toward rest, toward peace. Alara returned to her blanket, her feet leaving dark, wet prints in the sand. Prints that the tide, in its own time, would erase. She wrapped the thick woven wool around her shoulders, and this time she lay down. She lay on her back and looked up at the sky. The stars were thick now, a spray of silver glitter, and the moon, that perfect sliver, was high and bright. The night was in its full, quiet glory. She noticed the sound of the ocean had changed. The tide was high. The striving of the waves, the pushing and pulling, had stopped. The water was now calm. It was a great, still, dark mirror reflecting the stars. The only sound was a gentle lapping, a soft rhythm at the very edge of the shore. The sea itself was at rest. And as she watched the still water, Alara felt her own heart become still. The frantic beat of the week, the anxious pulse of her worry, it had finally matched the sea. It was slow. It was steady. It was a still water heart. I am held and safe. The moon laid its silver path across the water. a perfect, unbroken line of light stretching from the horizon all the way to the shore, all the way to where she lay. She looked at this path of light, and she saw her reflection. Not a real reflection in the water, but a reflection of her own soul. She saw her own light, steady, still. She was not the storm. She was not the striving. She was this deep, quiet, silver peace. She saw her reflection, not to judge it, not to find its flaws, but to bless it, to finally bless it. She felt a profound gratitude, a quiet hope. The week was done. The striving was over. The cleansing was complete. All that was left was this peace, this presence, this divine, quiet, simple being. She was held by the earth, covered by the blanket, and watched over by the stars. She felt the presence of grace, like a hand on her heart. It is safe to rest now. Her body felt heavy in the most wonderful way. Heavy with peace. Heavy with stillness. Her eyelids grew heavy. The sound of the lapping water, the shh, was the most beautiful lullaby. She was not alone. She was being held. She was forgiven. She was safe. And as she lay there, wrapped in the night, wrapped in the mercy of the sea, she felt herself begin to drift, to float on the great, gentle current of rest. Her awareness began to soften. The boundary between her body and the sand beneath her began to dissolve. She felt herself sinking deeper and deeper into the earth, into the stillness, into the peace. The sound of the waves became a heartbeat, a slow, steady, eternal pulse. It was the heartbeat of the earth, the heartbeat of God, the heartbeat of all that is and ever was and ever will be. And her own small heart was beating in time. She was part of it. She belonged to it. She was held within it. The stars above her began to blur, to soften. Their light, gentle, forgiving. They were not demanding that she shine. They were simply shining for her, offering their witness, their companionship, their silent, steady love. She felt the blanket around her, like arms. She felt the cool night air on her face, like a blessing. She felt the earth beneath her, solid, unwavering, eternal. She was completely, utterly held. And in that holding, she felt safe enough to finally, completely let go. Her mind, which had been so full, so loud, so busy, began to quiet. The thoughts that had been circling began to slow, to scatter, to fade, like stars at dawn. There was nothing left to solve, nothing left to plan, nothing left to hold. It was all taken care of. It was all in hands far stronger and wiser than her own. She was allowed to rest. She was allowed to stop. She was allowed to simply be. The ocean whispered its final, ancient prayer. You are enough. You are loved. You are held. And Alara surrendered. She let the tide of sleep carry her. She let the waves of grace cover her. She let the stillness of the night hold her. She was safe. She was home. She was at peace. And as the moon kept its watch, as the stars kept their vigil, as the sea kept its rhythm, Alara drifted into deep and total and holy sleep. You are carried by calm waters now. Sleep within the tide of grace. You are held. You are safe. You are forgiven. Let the waves be your lullaby. Let the peace of the sea be your own peace. There is nothing left to do. There is nothing to solve until morning. Tonight, you are held. And it is safe to rest now. May the rhythm of the ocean become the rhythm of your heart. May the stillness of the night become the stillness of your soul. May the light of the moon guide you gently into the deep waters of rest. You have released what you needed to release. You have forgiven what you needed to forgive. You have let go of what you were never meant to carry. And now, you are free to simply be. The tide is turning. The world is breathing. The night is holding you. And you, beloved, are allowed to sleep. Listen to the gentle lapping of the waves. Feel the soft night air on your skin. Know that you are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment. You are not behind. You are not ahead. You are here, held, loved, enough. Rest now in the arms of mercy. Sleep now in the embrace of peace. Drift now on the tide of grace. The sea will keep watch. The stars will keep vigil. The moon will hold its light. And you, precious soul, can finally rest. Sleep well. Sleep deep. Sleep in peace. If tonight's story brought you peace, return each week for more soul signal calm. Stories and rituals that remind your nervous system what safety feels like. Until next time, may you dream in light and wake in grace. Get the signal, soulsignal.org.